Welcome to Ellie Goldsmith's Relationship Flow. We have the pleasure again to have Teeny Pops, aka Masha Goldsmith, my wifey, soulmate, join us today. We are a few days later than our usual weekly spot, but thank God we're able to get it done. And we've been discussing some ideas. I just had another tour online with Toronto, so thank God that's done, and so we can get back to the relationship flow. Here is my wifey. Say hello. Okay, so we're going to discuss something which I think is very deep and important for people nowadays. What is the concept we're going to discuss today?
So, I was thinking a lot recently about this. Just the idea how, as people, we're constantly evolving as people. It's not like when you age.
Evolving as people. We just had a little
we said evolving
moment.
As people a million times.
We just because you just passed, thank God, your MATA course. Well done, Mazel Tov.
With one of the tests.
Well, one of the major tests. So we're very proud of you, and we're going to carry on with the podcast flow.
Okay.
Oh, and now we got another.
No, someone from my class is probably phoning me to tell me that she got her results.
Amazing.
Anyway, so we're talking about. I'm going to turn the sound off of my phone because.
Yay! Everyone's so excited.
Everyone's beeping their results. Okay, so there might be some people who may be less deep thinkers, or I don't know, who maybe don't think like this. But this is the way I think of constantly. Working out who you are within your life, the different things that you go through, your different ages that you turn. There's not one way of being. This is who I am forever. This is what I do. This is what I like forever. You're constantly discovering who you are on your journey of life, and you're evolving all the time. With all the through our journey as we growing as people in our relationships. And then at the same time, we're parents and we have children who are also on their journey of life, and they're also figuring out who they are and evolving as people themselves. And it's on different levels because we've had maybe more life experience.
Yeah, more life experience and more wisdom. So
it's not necessarily on the same, but what I was thinking about this week is that right now we're in unusual times where with COVID it's been new. It's kind of been a new reality for everyone, for parents and children. So we're working out this new reality and trying to figure out who we are and evolve and work things out within the reality of how things have changed.
That includes technologically as well.
In so many different ways, and readjust. And our children have to do the same. So it can be quite hard because as parents we also have a responsibility to as parents to our children, but then we're also figuring ourselves out with COVID, without COVID. But I'm just saying that because right now we're in the same stage as our children are figuring the world out, and we need to give stability to our kids, and stability to ourselves in a way. And we can't say to our kids, oh yeah, like I know this is how it is. Oh, you know how when we grew up, it's like you go to school and then you go to university and then you get a job and then you get married and you buy your house, and how everything. The world is different now. It's not like that anymore. What am I saying? So just kind of figuring that out. It's kind of been a bit hard, at least for me, with mother's guilt as well, and also not just mother's guilt, but also needing that time for myself to figure out who I am. And
that was our previous episode, self-care flow. We spoke about that.
So sometimes you just want to have a break,
and regrouping.
It's hard to have the responsibility of being a parent while you're figuring things out yourself. And so I was discussing this with Ellie, and we kind of thought, what can we give to our kids if we, in the same kind of reality of figuring
challenge and opportunity,
we are at a different stage of life, but we also figuring things out and evolving as people, and with this new reality. But with our life experience and our emotional work, that we can give, that we might not be able to say, oh yeah, this is how life is, or how it's going to be, and this is what you do, because a lot
externally
of things,
we don't have control.
Yeah, a lot of things are unknown.
Internally, the process.
That's
what we have learned, and hopefully on some level, not mastered, but at least achieved a certain level of understanding and depth and success with our inner resolution and inner process that can assist them to also evolve correctly, at least in a more healthy way, in a more balanced way, for
being emotionally aware and communicate,
giving them tools that we
we
weren't so aware growing up in, say, secular London. There was maybe less awareness back then, and maybe generally in that community as well, and the idea of self-awareness and mindfulness, a lot of these concepts weren't so available. Plus we weren't accessing our tradition, all the Torah knowledge of wisdom and Musa and Hasidus, all the different ancient mystical texts that give you deep insight to the soul.
At the same time, I think that we both have always been very deep thinkers and spiritual people, even when we weren't religious. I always was.
Well, that was one of the inspirational parts of that transitional time.
And I think that's why we became.
Is we saw a lot of the
we became
the deep wisdom that we were discussing then as teenagers, when we found that it was alive in Torah, that it was all sourced. Everything we were saying had a source, and some of the clarified even more exactly what, and it gave us even more validation of what we were understanding as teenagers as a searching souls. Suddenly there was a language that discussed the language of the soul, instead of it just being like, ignore the soul and go get a job, or go get a degree, go fit into society, be the best looking, be the most successful. Then we started to hear conversations of the soul that allowed us to evolve in an enhanced way. And now our children have learned a lot of that language, but the thing is, it can sometimes miss the point. It can be too much emphasis on spirituality that's academic.
It's getting the balance of real life, reality, living, practical, with understanding your soul and who you are, your emotions, and I think that's what we always speak about, just constantly being real with who you are and what your needs are and where you're at emotionally, and kind of step out of yourself sometimes. Okay, what's happening here? What are we doing? That's what I feel that we could give over to our kids and for ourselves. But then at the same time, just what has started is that as parents right now, it is, I think we're all at quite a hard point of figuring things out, and having to be responsible and give stability. So I think we have to be kind to ourselves right now.
Yeah, definitely. There's that
really
balance
have to be kind and to each other.
More judgment-free in terms of how we view ourselves and our children, and a little bit more flexible and versatile.
Compassion and
compassionate.
Everyone's.
I do think that one of the processes is that once you've done a lot of this inner work and have evolved into where you're at right now, the current situation, that the next part, personally, of my United Souls course, which I'll put the link below as well, is going into how to empower other people around you to evolve and to win-win, how for them to become better listeners, more interactive in the home and involved, like giving them roles and empowering them to become part of the family more. And I think that's our next stage really for our children, that they need to realize they all have a role in our home. It's not just what we can do for them as children. We're providing their needs.
We have older kids.
With older kids, they've learned from maybe a mistake from some of the society around us that it's McGearly, what can I get?
Well,
and how do we empower them to become givers in the home, and to, for example, like one of our daughters needed help with her learning, so the oldest daughter actually spent quality time with her, helping her with her schoolwork, rather than it all falling on to us as parents. and she was successful to help her, I think. Yeah,
and made her feel good about herself.
And it made her feel good as well, because she was now in a giving situation rather than just taking as a child. She was now becoming, someone who was empowered to give to our daughter. And it's nice to see, as we're sitting here, that all the people in your EMT course, learning to become ambulance volunteers, how excited everybody is about their results, because it's obviously a big deal that everyone, thank God, has got their results and is hopefully passing. It looks like positive energy from everybody, and one of them is excited to talk to you, so you should talk after we finish this podcast. But I do think that it's important to realize that the evolvement flow that we're having in our home is with a very current, up-to-date reality check of what we're being asked to do right now in the society that we're in, and in the challenges that are offered. For example, one of our daughters doing a high-tech course. These are things that would never have, thought about years back, but that's what she's doing now. And another son is working in a store, and one of the other sons is in a very high-level yeshiva, which I'll probably end up going to later today. That we are evolving our family to a more real place.
That's
of
in terms of practical for future, but then at the same time
on the inner level as well.
Yeah, because I think it's very important. The inner stuff too. I think we could.
You need to do both, because it supports the inner development that they're accomplishing.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to feel like they're accomplishing and achieving. It gives validation to who they are in this world.
But I think
purpose.
In terms of the emotional side of things, I think basically, what I've just kind of come to in my head is, I think maybe I said it, but how we can kind of round up is, apart from obviously the practical, looking at where the world is at and how to channel your kids, for being real with where the world is and how to,
like one of them, another one's accomplishing is learning, for example.
But I'm talking about on an emotional level, which is very, very important to have, so that they can have the stamina to push themselves in for their future. Is just being understanding of ourselves, understanding of them, because there's a lot of new stuff right now that everyone has to deal with, new rules and new laws or new ideas, new concepts of being.
Well, we as a family are finding new areas to grow.
But what I'm saying though is that just being understanding of each other and patient with each other, and looking at the good, what each person is able to do, and if they're having, and sometimes when they're having a meltdown, it's easy for us to get upset or frustrated, or that they're misbehaving or something, but they're really saying
deeper,
so much more. There really is so much more.
We're looking deeper at the reactions. So there's a deeper.
There's so much stuff between the lines that I think is so important.
And the fact that we should give ourselves credit that we've put them in some chugim, which is different club things, that they're developing new areas of talents, but we're giving a lot of time to that, and that should be credit to us, that we're giving them that support, that they should start to grow in new skills and new talents, some of the younger ones as well, and that's really important. So I think we should give ourselves all a pat on the back, just give some encouragement that we are growing and evolving, and that will give us the strength to keep that process, that positive process, in the best way. Is there anything else you want to say for today?
No, I think that's it.
That's it. Great. So please feel free to give feedback. I'm still waiting for somebody to give me some advice for the sleeping issue, of how to get a good night's sleep in the most effective way, and the relationship flow concept, how as a couple maybe we could do some techniques just to relax at the end of the day that gives us the best quality sleep. If anyone's got any insight, I'm happy to discuss it in a coming episode. As soon as we get some messages from you guys, we'll be able to go into that subject. Waiting for the interactive aspect of our Relationship Flow podcast, and wishing everybody a lot of nachas, a lot of positive development with their children, their family, or themselves. If you don't have a family yet, you can take this with people around you, how you're evolving with your sphere of influence. It's the same kinds of concepts as well with people around in your loved ones and friends and family. We're wishing everybody a beautiful relationship flow. Share yours, and thanks again for tuning in. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye.